Well, the big story that we are tracking, it's a major setback to Kargil Martyr, Saurabh Kalia's family's fight for justice. The Modi government has refused to approach the International Court of Justice against Pakistan in the gruesome killing of Saurabh Kalia by the Pakistani forces during the Kargil war. In its reply in Parliament to a question by Rajya Sabha MP Rajiv Chandrasekhar, the Modi government has said that moving the International Court of Law against Pakistan won't be practicable. Remember, when BJP was in the opposition, the party had slammed the then UPA government over its refusal to approach the International Court. But now the NDA government has towed the UPA line on this issue. Shocked over the response of the Modi Sarkar, martyr Saurabh Kalia's family has said that they were not expecting this from the new government. Captain Saurabh Kalia was captured by Pakistani troops during Kargil war and was held in captivity and tortured gruesomely. Last year, a video had gone viral in which a Pakistani soldier had admitted that Saurabh Kalia was tortured and killed during the Kargil war in 1999.
Actually, Indian government policy towards Pakistan has never been clear. Sometimes we to fight with Pakistan. Sometimes we play cricket with Pakistan. We invite their artists, but it is all confused. Either it is BJP or it is Congress government. They have the same position. They may be vocal outside. They may be vocal to media. They may be vocal to some functions, but heart of hearts, they are the same. In fact, the Honorable Apex Court of India has also directed our cases also lying pending in the Apex Court. The panel of judges has also advised government to take up this issue at the international level. Of course, about this, our learned counsel, Mr. Arvind Sharma, can elaborate better. But I am ever hopeful.
While you are in opposition, you have answers to all the questions. It's only when you come into government you know that some questions have no answers.
Absolutely.
One. The second thing is, many of these promises and many of the times, most of our politicians say things out of sheer ignorance. They're simply not aware of what the position is. So, I suppose that's the nature of the beast and that's what politicians do. But that political grandstanding has been done by all sorts of people in all sorts of places. And I don't think this ruling party is any different from the parties which preceded it. So leave the politics of it aside. It's when you come into government, you realize that, a lot of the stuff which you were talking about cannot be done. It's as simple as...
So you saw, of course, those political to strategic affairs experts stating that how this government is also no different from the previous governments. Remember, this is that Mail Today exclusive that happens to be the big focus as to how the BJP-led government has gone back on its promises to Captain Saurabh Kalia's family. And in fact, there's not much change in stand. If you see a decision to approach, in fact, the International Criminal Court on any issue, it is a decision to basically, which falls within the mandate of the government, and the jurisdiction cannot be invoked unilaterally as it has effect on foreign relations. That is what, in fact, the NDA is now saying, similar to what Manmohan Singh's government was also saying. They also add that it is highly unlikely that Pakistan will consent to India's proposal to submit the case to ICJ by a special agreement. Remember, both parties need to, of course, agree to ensure that the matter is then taken up at ICJ. A state cannot be compelled without its consent. So clearly for the BJP that really attacked Manmohan Singh government and the UPA for being soft on Pakistan, for being soft on terror, seems to be towing similar lines now. So there you have Rajiv Chandrasekhar, in fact, one of the parliamentarians who has been taking up this issue vociferously over the last few years. Now, Mr. Arvind, in fact, who is also the lawyer for Captain Saurabh Kalia's family, joins us on the phone line. Mr. Arvind, really, how do you look at this response from the government? It is surely, of course, must be very, very disappointing.
Yeah, but the issue is before the court. The stand of the earlier government and the new government, I did not expect any change in the new government stand. But now the issue is before the court, Supreme Court. Now the court will decide whether we can refer this matter to the International Court of Justice or not. Because as per me, there is total violation of the Geneva Convention. Now whether it is a bilateral agreement between India and Pakistan to sort out issues, but this issue requires international court or international interference.
But Mr. Sharma, you know, the problem does remain regardless of the change in governments, that when it comes to the ICJ, there is that international understanding that the cases can be taken up at the ICJ only with bilateral consent. So can even a judicial verdict from India sort of influence an international law and agreement?
Why not? Why not? Because there are cases where Pakistan has gone to International Court of Justice. Maybe they have not succeeded in that. But they approached the International Court of Justice without the consent or the bilateral, the binding of the bilateral agreement between the two countries. Why can't we go?
So you think at least the first few steps can be taken from the government regardless of what the possible outcome could be?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You see, this is a total violation of Geneva Convention. And I admire Dr. Kalia that he is fighting the case since 1999 till today.
Where does the case now stand in courts, sir? You know, are you expecting any resolution to this through the court in near future?
Why not? Because there is already a judgment of the Gujarat Division Bench, High Court, where they have referred the issue of the POK 1971 soldiers case to the International Court of Justice. Why not? And this issue is for the Supreme Court to be the court to decide whether it has to be referred to or not.
When is the next hearing of the court case, sir?
This is in mid of August, 25th of August.
Right. And before that, you think that without waiting for the court decision, also the government at least could have been seen, been perceived as trying to do something in this case different from the previous government?
Because see, earlier the Pakistan government said we have nothing to do with as far the Kargil, the death of the soldiers were concerned. But now we have ample evidence where the soldier in the national TV has admitted, yes, we did it.
Right.
Now we can take up the stand, the government can take up the stand with the Pakistan government and take it very seriously. Yes, there is an issue which has to be adjudicated.
Right. So what is the family now saying, sir? You must be in touch with them. How are they looking at this entire scenario?
Want justice. They want justice. See, the way the body was handed over to the Indian government and the medical reports are all clear that it was brutally handled by the Pakistani soldiers. So I think the family wants some justice, at least some sort of some pressure from the Indian government to the Pakistan. At least a simple apology from the Pakistan government will heal their wounds.
So it's been almost more than 15 years now to the incident, to the gory, gruesome incident where Captain Saurabh Kalia was killed so brutally. It must have been a very, very difficult journey for family, loved ones, and for the legal team as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I admire Dr. Kalia and his family. They're in that state of affairs. Still, they are fighting, and they are fighting for getting some justice. And I think one day or the other, they will succeed in their mission.
Right. So finally, is there something you would possibly want Mr. Modi to do here specifically? What were the expectations of the family when the government changed? Would you perhaps want to write a letter to the Prime Minister's office or something?
No, I think that Dr. Kalia has already written a letter to this government. And the government should take up the case very seriously and pursue with the counterpart.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arvind Sharma. Of course, the counsel for Captain Saurabh Kalia's family there, and saying that this has been a long fight and the fight continues. Remember, the court case comes up for the next hearing somewhere around mid of August this year. But meanwhile, he thinks the government at least could have been seen as being proactive on this issue and at least trying to take the case up to the ICJ's door.